Hello. I figured I would go live as I am starting on the 600 jar opener challenge. I see a bunch of you have already watched the prep video that I posted, so I'm getting started on bag A. Today's goal is to get bag A and at bag B done with step 1. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the first step. So it is about 12:30 right now. I am trying to keep track of how long it takes me to do each step. It doesn't have to be an exact science, but A1, 12:30 p.m. But I want to go ahead and keep an idea of how long it takes me. So I went ahead and already posted the prep video, and that showed how I got ready for the 600 jar opener challenge. The 600 jar opener challenge is making 600 jar openers in the month of February. I have done this for 3 years now. The reason why I do it is because in 2022, sold about 500 or so jar openers. And so I figured, hey, I need to make more than 500. So I went ahead and made 600. Then last year I did it again. And it has been awesome to know that every February, that's what I do. Every February I make 600 jar openers. That is the goal. You know, I don't have any shows in February. There's not a whole lot going on. It's the shortest month of the year. We're trying to get over the January blues, trying to get over some like, what is the word I'm looking for? Like if you lost your sojo, right? Like your mojo for sewing. So it lets me know that's what I have planned. And also I don't have to make any other jar openers throughout the rest of the year. So it's really helpful. I really like it. I like knowing what I already have planned. Last year, 2024, we sold over 600 jar openers. So 600 is not going to cut it this year. I am working in project bags of 75, labeled A through H. So each bag I have 3 days to complete, and that will get me done within 24 days. That gives 4 extra days to do additional projects. So that means that I hopefully can get 675 done, but my goal is to get 750 done. So anyways, I'm working on the first step here of the jar opener challenge. So I am pinning all of my shelf liner to my fabrics. You can also see that all of the fabrics are different. I do that so that I don't get fabric fatigue. And also, if anything happened that I wouldn't finish this whole project, that I can go ahead and be happy where I ended, and I have a good variety of patterns. So that is why I don't have the same pattern over and over again. I love doing it this way. So anyways, that is what I'm working on. Hello. I'm good. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining me. I am working on my jar openers. If you haven't watched the video I posted this morning on the 600 jar opener prep, today I am working on the first batch of the 600 jar openers. I figured I would go ahead and go live to be with you guys and show you what it is that I'm doing. I also am timing myself so that I know how long each step takes. I'm working in batches of 75 so that I don't get too tired on one singular step. It also allows me to have a variety of patterns so I don't get pattern fatigue, because if you see the same pattern over and over again, you get kind of tired of it. And I figured I would jump on a live. One of my goals this year is to do 12 lives. Seeing as how it's February 1st and I haven't done any, figured I'd go ahead and do that today. I didn't plan for it, but I was like, hey, I got dressed today and I washed my hair. I might as well go live, right? I don't know about you, but working from home, I don't have the energy to get ready every day. Most days I'm just in my PJs. Hello from India. Let me know where all you guys are from in the comment section down below. If you want to learn how to make the jar openers, I do have the tutorial linked down below, as well as I have a link to the Valentine's Day class that I will be leading later this month. We have one for the car visor tissue. So that is something that it has elastic and it goes onto the visor within your car, and you could put tissues in it, you could put masks in it, you could put napkins in it, and it's super helpful for when you need to grab them really quick. So we're going to be doing a class on that later this month, as well as a class on how to make the jar openers. If you want to do a private class, I also have links down below to my mentorship consulting, and you can go ahead and use one of those links to get a private lesson. Where are you from? I am in America. I am in Pennsylvania, but I am from Virginia. Born and raised. I'm curious how long each bag is going to take me. I've estimated that each bag, which has 75 pieces of fabric, 75 pieces of shelf liner, I've estimated that each bag is going to take 10 hours total. But I'm thinking it's going to be a little faster than that, because last year when I did my calculations, that included cutting time. This year, I already had my cutting done by February 1st. Because when I did all my cutting, I cut more than just the jar openers. I went ahead and cut wine bags and tissue pouches. So those are two other products that sell well for me when I go to my craft shows. So I went ahead and cut those up too. And cutting stresses me out. I don't know about you guys, but I get stressed out. I do not want to waste any fabric. I don't want to cut something wrong. So I like to take my time. So it took me a couple weeks to cut all the fabric because I didn't have a solid block of time to just work on it. So I would work on it for 2 or 3 hours, walk away. Work on it for 2 or 3 hours, walk away. And it took me ages to get it done. But that prep work, which is the video that I posted this morning, allowed me to be able to hit the ground running. I think I said that statement wrong in that video. Hit the ground running is, I think, the word, the statement, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so anyways, that's just me babbling on. And, I just realized, so I separated all the prints, directional and non-directional. It's not a big deal, but it matters when I get to the step of adding the tag in, which direction these guys face. So I'm actually going to set this one aside because he doesn't belong in this bag. These are supposed to be non-directional. My most popular patterns are cats and dogs, so there are definitely way more cat and dog patterns in these batches than anything else. I'm also excited at the end of this to see all these new jar openers along with the jar openers that I already have made, what gaps there still are. So I'm going to lay them all out. We're going to put all the food, all the animals, all the hobbies, all the different categories together, and we're going to see, is there still a gap in this area? And I can look at my fabric stash, which is what's right behind me, and see what I can pull if there's a fabric I didn't cut that we need to make some more of. And then I can work on those after February. But I'm hoping to have a really good, diverse amount of fabrics. It's not as much about the quantity. I mean, I do need 600 because last year we sold more than 600, so I need to replenish what it is that we sold, but it's more about the variety. I need to make sure I have a good variety of patterns. And also, that 600 does not include, almost just dropped a pin, that 600 does not include the fabrics, the jar openers that were sold in the in-person shops. I have my products available in Leesburg, Virginia, in a shop called Lazy Daisy. In Leesburg, it's the shopping center with the Wegmans. It's over by the movie theater. So I don't know how many jar openers I sold there. I know I sold more than one a month, so that's at least 12. But how many there are total? I don't know. So that's one number. The other number I don't know is I had my product in a shop that was in Leesburg. It's not in Leesburg anymore, but Artisan Market and Studio. So in the shop, as well as they would take our products out to different shows. Like one of the big shows was the barn sale, which I did a live video stream from that show and showed everything that they had. And I sold like $500 worth of product at that show. So I only had reusable towels and jar openers there. So that was probably like 50, right? So I would guess that last year at a minimum 700 jar openers sold is just my guess, but I really don't know. I don't know the exact number. So anyways, this year the minimum goal is to make 600 jar openers, but I'm really hoping that by being even more organized, having the cutting time already done, that I will be able to make 750. That is my true goal this year. If my calculations are right and each bag takes me approximately 3 days to complete, then I should be able to complete all 750 within 30 days. So that means I need to work a little faster, which happens. Some days I get more time than others. I do work full time, so it's not like I get 8 hours during the weekdays to be able to work on this. I try to work on it in the morning, during my lunch break. I do work from home, so that's a good thing. It's definitely helpful. So I can work during my lunch break and then when I get off work. So the time that I would spend commuting, I can be working on this instead. And that definitely, as a whole, helps me be so much more productive with my business. The fact that I do not commute to work, that's pretty much the time that I commit daily to my sewing. But definitely in February, I commit even more time. I'm spending about 3 hours a day on this. And then I also have my regular videos to post, the Tuesday and Thursday postings. So today I went ahead and I usually do this, but I'm not usually so prepared. But I usually try to, like, when I look nicer, to make an effort to record as many intros as I can. And because our video earlier this week that we did all the content planning, like I have the calendar right here, I knew all of the videos that I intend to make for this month. If I change my mind and want to make a different video, I'm going to have to record a different intro, but I recorded every single one plus a bonus one that I thought of while I was working on that. So I have even a little bit of wiggle room, right? And then I also, like, my face is a big part of my brand. Like, I want people to know that I am my brand. So I make sure that in all my thumbnails that I show my face. So I also took a photo for all of my thumbnails. So I'm super proud of myself that I got all of that done in one go, because usually the format of how my videos go is my intro is my face and explaining what the project is and what it is we're going to be doing. And then the rest of the video is generally not my face. It's just showing what's going on. So, oh my gosh, this piece of fabric or piece of thread. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Where is everybody at? I am in Pennsylvania. Let me know where you're from. I mean, I don't say that I'm from Pennsylvania. I live in Pennsylvania. I'm from Virginia, but I live in Pennsylvania right now. Hello. All right. I'm so excited about some of these patterns that I have not seen in a long time. I don't like it when I'm doing the same pattern over and over and over. I call it pattern fatigue. I just get bored. Like, I don't want to do 10 of the same pattern back to back. Also, one of my biggest fears in any project is what if I don't finish it? So that's another reason behind, when we did the prep video and I sorted in the stacks A, B, C, D of all the jar openers, I want to make sure that if for whatever reason I'm not able to finish this project, if I'm able to complete 25% of it, we will still have all the patterns represented. I'm thinking there's about 200 new patterns in this batch. I'm not positive. I got that estimation because stack A was like 223. There are a couple duplicates within the pile, so that's why I'm thinking there's about 200, but I'm so excited to see at the end of this challenge, so that will be at the end of February, when we put all of the new patterns and all of the old patterns together to see how much variety there is. All of the current patterns that I have are available for sale in my Etsy shop. That link is down below. How you can order is I have them sorted out, columns and rows, A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, B2, B3, B4, and or you could just say like, hey, I want the one with the pink flowers, and I always send a picture and double check, hey, is this the correct fabric that you were interested in? So I'm excited at the end of this to update my listing to have all of the patterns. It is so awesome to do this project in February, so that way throughout the year I don't have to stress about whether or not I have enough inventory. I don't know about you, but the hardest part of being a handmade crafter is finding the time to make things. So I know that February is not very busy in regards of crafting, right? I'm not going to have any shows. I've pretty much already prepped all of the events I want to go to. Spoiler, I have not actually signed up for any. I have my list. I need to go sign up. So not doing too great in that regard. But I know what I want. So need to go ahead and sign up for those shows. But I like not stressing about, oh, can I sign up for this new show last minute? Oh, I don't have enough inventory. Or finding out, last year I found out that a new shop was opening and I wanted to get my product in. I had like 2 or 3 days to make this happen. I think I contacted the owner on like Wednesday and I got my stuff in on Friday for the shop opening on Saturday. I would not have been able to do that if I didn't do the 600 jar openers back in February, because I would not have enough inventory. So depending on what your product is, the life cycle of it, if it can last being pre-made, like obviously if you make like cupcakes and stuff, you can't really plan ahead like this. But if you have something that is not going to get damaged from being made a couple weeks or a couple months earlier, I would highly recommend figuring out what it is that you can do to make your products earlier in the year and have them ready to go. Figure out how many you need. How many do you sell on average at each show or throughout the year? Like I said, for me, when I started doing this, I was selling under 600. I was selling like 500. So that's where I came up with the number of 600. But last year, we blew it out of the park. Last year was like, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's like 630 or something like that, 640. So that is why this year I want to complete at least 600 jar openers, but 750 would be even better. That is the real goal. But something I did mess up this year, and you know, I said in my goals video, I didn't want to spend any money at a big box store. Okay, first off, I messed up that I did not order more labels at the end of last year. And I get my labels online from an Etsy shop. I believe she's located in France. Absolutely love my labels. She is fantastic. Love working with her. It's super easy. When I first set it up, I worked with her to make sure the design was exactly how I wanted it. And then since then, I just say reorder for So Sustainable, and it's awesome. I've ordered thousands of labels from her. So, oh, this is a directional as well. These guys do not belong. They need to get put in a different bag. That's okay. All right, setting this aside. The directional, it's not a huge deal. It's just I need to pay more attention when I get to a directional bag, because of when I put the fabrics right sides together, as well as when I put the tag in, that's when it matters. So I already separated them, the directional and the non-directional, but apparently I didn't do a good enough job. If you want to know more about the labels that I order, I do have that link down below in the description. I'm also looking at like if there's patterns where the two pieces are different, like which one would be better as the external piece. So like, see how this one, the internal and the external doesn't make a big difference, but some of them, like maybe this big flower right here stands out more, and we want that to be on the external piece. So anyways, if you see me like looking at two fabrics like that, that's what I'm trying to figure out, is which one would be better as the external piece. Okay, so this video has been going for about 20 minutes. So that's pretty good. I'm trying to figure out how long it's going to take me to do each step. So today I need to get these guys pinned down, stitched down, and then pinned back together. Bag 1 and bag 2, bag A and bag B. So that would be A1, B1. We will see how it goes. That's my goal. My goal on the weekends when I have more time is to do 2 bags that are at the same step together. I'm not going to combine the piles, but like just do them back to back. The other reason why I separated into bags of 75 rather than working on the whole batch of 600 at a time is if I do too many of the same step back to back to back to back, I get so like, I don't know the right word, like carpal tunnel or something, you know, like, okay, this step, I'm like leaning down looking at the pattern. If I keep having to lean down for 600 jar openers in a row, like my neck is going to be killing me. And then same thing, like if I'm at the sewing machine doing the same step 600 times in a row, I just can't. I need a little bit of variety. So I'm thinking that 75 will be the sweet spot. We'll see how it goes. In the prep video this morning, I said, do you think that I can make 1,200 jar openers next year? If I didn't work full time and I had the whole month just to work on sewing, I definitely think I could do it, because last year it took me, I think, 80 hours. I need to just mark this page in my notebook. I have my notebook of all my notes. Oh, well, good thing I have enough paper shoved in here. Okay, last year it took me 83 hours total. So if I didn't work full time, I definitely think that I could make 1,200 in a month. But I am making 600 in a month on top of all my normal life things, making 2 videos a week, working full time, all the other things, running my house, things like that. So thankfully I don't have any kids or pets. I don't have any living creatures that I have to take care of. So that is definitely helpful. If I did, I would not be able to sleep and get all this done, or it would take a lot longer. I also generally try to do the steps like this that don't involve the sewing machine outside of my sewing room. What in the world? There's like a chunk of something on this one. Hold on a second. I don't know what that was. It looked like a chunk of like Oreo, but I do not, sorry, my dad just texted me and he said cute braids. So thanks, Dad. And he must be watching this video. I lost my train of thought. Oh, it looked like a piece of Oreo, but that doesn't make any sense. I don't buy Oreos because if I bought Oreos, they'd be gone in one sitting. Okay. All right, so that took about 20 minutes, so that really wasn't that bad. Okay, so we'll set this pile aside. Well, technically we should put it back in the bag because this is A. If you're wondering, where did I get such a big Ziploc bag? They are 2-gallon freezer bags. And what's interesting is they're not Ziploc. When you go to Walmart, only Walmart carries them, not Ziploc. So I don't know what that's about. They have a hold on the market there. Random bobbin in my pins. Okay, so new timer now for B1, starting at 12:55. I'm assuming this is going to take 20 minutes. Keep finding all these pieces. All right. Are they? Oh, asking about the measurements. So if you want to know all the measurements of the jar openers, I do have the pattern link down below. The digital pattern is $5. I also have the tutorial link down below, as well as I'm going to be teaching a class later this month. If you'd like to join that, the link is down below and we can make the jar openers together. It is a Galentine's Day class. One is to make a car visor. So that is this pouch that holds napkins or masks or whatever you want to have it hold in your car. And then the other class is to make the jar openers. So sorry, but I'm not going to answer the size question as I have the pattern. Man, I found another directional. All right. Let's see here. What is that? I think it's a clap. I can't tell what that emoji is. I think it's a clap emoji. Wondering if this is directional too. Okay, directional is like if a pattern, like this is not directional. So see how this can go like either way, it doesn't matter. Do you think that this is directional? I don't know. I think it is because if I turn one way, it looks different than the other one. Oh my goodness. I did not do a great job sorting these. Let's see here. Very curious how this peach one is going to turn out because the fabric is super like starchy. I got it from the thrift store ages ago and I've washed it multiple times like to try and make it not so stiff. So I don't know how great it's going to turn out, if it's going to like not turn very well when we turn it right side out. So I don't know. We'll see how that one goes. I think this is probably a gap we'll find once we finish this project, is all of the colors. You know, trying to make sure that Roy G. Biv, we have every color available, because people will ask me, oh, do you have rabbits? Oh, do you have green? Oh, do you have this, right? So I have a yellow. I would say this is more teal than a blue. Purple. This is more a true blue. So I can already tell you right now I'm missing some of the colors, right? So I'm thinking that that is going to be a gap at the end of this, but we will see. I don't really have them sorted right now in any sort of order. They're kind of just all over the place, the fabric, because it's just when I bought the fabric, when it ended up in the pile. So there's really no rhyme or reason as to the order of any of these patterns right now. But when I do have them at the shows, I have them like in the general category. Oh man, that one's out of order now. After the pink. I have them like the dogs and the cats are the most popular, so I have those up front. And then I have the other animal prints. So all the animals are together. Then I have like all the food together. Then I have the more masculine prints together, the more feminine prints together. The prints that I call like hobby prints. So that's ones that like have like sewing and gardening and things like that. And then also I have some that are like more kid patterns, right? So then I'm wondering if this one is directional. I don't think so. The more like kid theme patterns, right? So it's not a perfect system, but that's kind of how I have them organized. And as the season goes on, the categories change because certain patterns sell out. This is another one that I don't think I have everything cut that I should have cut. So this is like the B section. So I have 1, 2, 3 different patterns, but back here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. So obviously there's 3 prints missing. I don't know if they're somewhere else in one of the other bags, so that's possible, but or if they're already represented in the jar openers that are already done. So I'm not going to cut any fabric until the end of this challenge, so that would be at the end of February. But I'll cut from the fabric that I have to fill the gaps. Hi, new here, love your, thank you. I have all of my fabrics here on comic book boards. I love the organization system. It makes me feel like my room is like a fabric shop, right? And most of the fabrics that I have, I got at the thrift store. So if you're like, oh my gosh, how does she have so much fabric? The vast majority of what you see behind me came from the thrift store, which is really helpful when like you're starting out and you know you're afraid to cut the fabric. Fabric prices are crazy, like $5, $6, $7, $10 a yard, and then you go to cut it and you mess up and then you can't get it back together. It's really stressful. Cutting really stresses me out. I don't like it. But starting with thrift fabric definitely makes things a lot less pressure, and I really enjoy having filler fabrics from the thrift store. Generally, the fabrics that sell well at the craft shows are not the ones that I get at the thrift store. So the ones that I buy new are generally for the craft shows, and I try to buy only what I need. All cotton. So this center section here is pretty much all cotton. This whole bookcase on the right, if I can turn, this one here is cotton flannel. So I make reusable towels. Once I use all of this up, I will not be buying anymore because they're not as popular and it takes up so much space. So these guys up here are quilting cotton, but all of this down here is cotton flannel. Most of the stuff that I got new is from Joann's because you can't beat their prices. I would love to support small business, and I try to. Most of the fabric from the 600 jar opener challenge is small businesses that I purchased throughout the year. But the cotton flannel, I really could not find it anywhere except for Joann's. And then this other bookcase, on the other side. So a lot of this is from the thrift store. So this is like, what is that word? Like duck cloth or like upholstery, like thicker fabric. This is, what's the word? Fleece. And then these are like satiny, silk, lace, that kind of thing. And then these ones here are bed sheets or curtains, things like that. And then down here is more fleece. And then my most popular pattern is this one right here for the towels, this cat pattern. So I bought like six bolts or something back in 2022, like that big order that I placed, and that's where all of this flannel is from. I haven't bought any flannel in a while, like bolts in a while, so that's where most of that is from. And then I have a couple more quilting cotton bolts over on the side over there that are intended to be like interior prints, and that's what I was getting at with the thrift fabric. So like the fabric wine bags, that requires an exterior print and an interior print because they're reversible. So I was able to use a lot of my thrift prints for the interiors, because like here I have my solids organized, and most of those are from the thrift store. And I also was able to use those for the tissue pouches because those also require two patterns. Lost my train of thought. So yeah, so I like having them as a like a backup fabric, right? All cotton, I think we are yes, I love thrifting. Okay, I see. Dang, you got a good thrift store. Thank you. Yeah, I also have my mom and my boyfriend's mom love going to the thrift store as well, and so they will find fabric for me too. So I'm definitely very lucky and very grateful that other people in my life know that I like fabric and keep an eye out for me. I've not found any good thrift stores in Pennsylvania. We've been here for what, a year and a half at this point. There's really nothing around here. There's really no sewing shops either. Like there's a Joann's that's like 45 minutes away or something. It's not a great one. And then as far as like a small shop, I think the closest one's like an hour or more away. So it's really hard to buy fabric in Pennsylvania. If I were to go like to the Amish side of the state, so that is where a lot of the fabric is, and that's like an hour and a half away from me. So that'd be fun, but obviously I don't need any more fabric, so I need to not buy anymore. Be good, use what I have. But yeah, I love the thrift stores in Virginia. Blue Ridge Hospice is my favorite chain. They are the most reliable, in my opinion, of all the thrift stores, that like most consistently good prices, good product, good employees. They have like 7 or 8 shops in Northern Virginia. That's where I'm from. So I love going back home and going to all those thrift stores. Sounds like you got the market cornered in your town business. Are you talking about thrift stores? Or are you talking about the jar openers? I noticed good here in Texas. Sounds like you got the market cornered in your town, so it's good here in Texas has gotten pricey. Yeah, fabric at any of the small shops, from what I found, is like starts at $10 a yard, which is rough. Like that's rough if you're a hobbyist and you're just like buying to make a quilt or make a garment, you know? And then if you're buying to try and sell, it's really hard. Like when I go to price out my jar openers, I sell them for $6. I am not making much on each jar opener unless I was able to buy the fabric at the thrift store or buy it super on sale. When went to Joann's in December because on the app, I read that it was on sale, and I was like, okay, perfect. I'll go right now. I'll go, get the fabric that I need. I went like an hour out of my way to go to this Joann's, and I was already there. And then I realized that the fabric was not on sale how I thought it was going to be. But the time and effort and gas that I already took to go there, I was like, I might as well just get what I need and not come back for a while because I'm already here. So it's definitely really hard to try and make a profit in the crafting realm. My end goal is to have no physical product. Like, physical product is just not the way to go. It's a pain. It's only so scalable. I'm one person. There's only so many things that I can make in a year. And then you have to carry it places. You have to take it to a shop. If you're in multiple shops, you have to take it to the craft show and set up and break down. And it's really hard to turn a profit on physical items. So my end goal is to be all digital, maybe do 1 or 2 craft shows a year to, bring awareness to my accounts. So that is why I have the digital patterns, have the tutorial on YouTube. I'm monetized on YouTube, and then sell the digital pattern. And then I'm also trying to do like online workshops. So we'll see. I'm trying. I have my hands in a lot of buckets, but that's what you got to do. You got to have your hand in a lot of buckets. You got to try a lot of different things. Right now, my business pretty much makes it so that I can do my hobby for free, which is great, right? Like, I don't have the disposable income to do my hobby. If I didn't sell the products that I sell and do all this time and effort towards this, I could not sew. I would have to only use what I have, and I would have a zero budget. I would not be able to buy anything. So it makes me happy that I can do my hobby for free, and it also allows me to get out of the house. It gives me a way to be productive. My full-time job is from home, and so, I don't get a lot of social interaction. I don't get out of the house that much, so it's great for me to like get out and meet people and, have to get dressed and put myself in front of people. And, I've learned so much since I started doing all of this. I started back in 2018 or 2019. I started originally with paper goods. I worked at a store called Paper Source. So if you're not familiar, that is like Hallmark meets Michaels, right? So gifts and workshops and paper and cards, lots of cards. So like I started learning, like, I've always been like into crafts, but not really. My issue is that I want everything to be perfect, and so I have a really hard time with like crafting, and so I want all the things to look as precise as possible. I want everything to be like a perfect right edge, and it makes it really hard to just enjoy doing something. And I learned how to do the cards, and I was teaching the workshops, and I was like, I want to like do this on the side. And so I learned like how I could do it without getting in trouble. And because like when I worked there, it was really strict that you could not use anything that you bought with your employee discount to make any money. So I intentionally had to go to other stores and make sure I bought a product that we did not sell. I did this. I did a product that we did not sell so that there would be no overlap. It doesn't have to be that strict, but I just didn't want any accusations of any sort. And so it was really hard to start and to put myself out there. And like my first like year or two of projects were all over the place. Like I did cards, like handmade cards and embossed cards, and I did wedding invitations, and I did wedding what's it called? Table numbers and stuff like that. Like a lot of the projects were like my friends needed something and then they asked me to do it. I also did like, I worked at a golf club, and I got to make, they did this like wine tasting, wine around the world. And so I got to make these little booklets. They would get like a stamp at each place, and I got to make the booklets for it. So I had a lot of great support at the beginning and like was trying to find my footing and trying to find like where I belong. And then COVID happened, and you know, it's not like I was making much money at all. I had also posted a couple YouTube videos at that point. And then COVID happened, which was not fun. And I had sewn a bit like in high school, you know, like did, or middle school, high school, did like the home ec rotation or whatever, nothing big. So like I was familiar how to sew, but I didn't like know how to do it. The other thing is like I already had all of my paper crafting items, right? I'm a maximalist. I am not a minimalist. So I already had a shit ton of stuff. And I was like, if I get into sewing, that's a whole nother realm. That's a whole nother load of stuff that I'm going to want everything, and I'm going to be obsessed, and I'm going to buy all the stuff. And so I tried really hard to not get into sewing. But I was working in a store that was deemed essential. So I had to go into work during COVID and be around customers and wear a mask. And I hand sewed. And if you know me, I despise hand sewing, hate hand sewing with a burning passion. Hand sewed one or two of my first masks. And then I went into work and the guys were like, can you make me one? And I'm like, not really. I don't want to do this. I really hated making these. I was like, if I had a sewing machine, that would be different. And you know how hard it was to get your hands on anything during COVID. My mom had a sewing machine that was like as old as me, old as the ice age, right? And so we lived about an hour and a half or 2 hours apart. I went and drove and got it. And I had that sewing machine to start using to make a couple masks. And I hated it. It would like skip stitches and it was so frustrating. Like it made the project so not fun. But I made a couple masks for people with the fabric that I just had. The year before, in 2019, I had gone on a cruise, a Disney cruise with a Marvel Day at Sea, and I had made my skirt for the Marvel Day using that same sewing machine, right? So I had a couple pieces of random fabric. And so I used that random fabric to make a couple masks, and I sold them at work. I felt like I was like a drug dealer at work, right? I was like coming to work with like a paper bag and like, hey, here's your masks, like pay for it on my Etsy and then I'll give it to you when we get to work. And I was also like selling them in my apartment building, and I was selling more and more, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need a better sewing machine, I need more fabric. So I ended up buying my sewing machine, and I was like, do I get like a cheap one, do I get a better one? I ended up getting one that cost $400, which was a lot of money to spend in such a questionable time period, and on something that I didn't know if I would be interested or not. And I bought a bunch of fabric. My sewing machine was more expensive because it also does embroidery. Spoiler, I love my machine, and embroidery is my favorite thing. So anyways, so I bought the sewing machine, bought some fabric. The fabric was a pain, you know, you had to like go drive to Joann's. They wouldn't let you inside. They pre-cut it. They met you in the parking lot, you know, like all this annoying COVID stuff, right? And then I was sewing every night. I would get off work. I would be sewing for like 6 or 8 hours every night after work. Like I was not sleeping. I was just like wake up, go to work, come home, sew, go to sleep for a little bit, then repeat it over and over and over. But I sold all, I paid off my sewing machine in masks in the first month between the people that I worked with and my apartment building. And from there, so I can make a mask with my eyes closed, right? I made thousands of them. And after things chilled out, right, I then just learned how to make other stuff. And then I started doing the craft shows. And I had the sewing items, I had the paper items, and my original name was Tansley Paper Co. because my last name is Tansley. And then I based it off of Rifle Paper Co. because I love Rifle Paper Co. and they have fabric and paper. And so it's like my spirit animal, right? And so that's what my name was. And I would get insulted by other vendors. I would get insulted by customers. Like, your stuff is all over the place. Like, what even is this? Like, it looks like a gift shop. And people did not like my booth. I did not do well that first year. And so then I changed to only being sewing, only being sewing product. I changed my name to Sew Sustainable in 2022, but I had already been doing things longer, right? And went to sewing products only because, like these jar openers, for example, I'm sitting here and I'm going to get 600 of these done within February. Yes, it takes a lot of time and effort to make 600 of them. However, it doesn't take a lot of brain power because I'm doing the same step over and over again. This pile right here is 75 different patterns that appeal to 75 different people. If I tried to make 75 greeting cards that appeal to 75 different audiences, it would take me so much more time, effort, and mental work to try and do this. Like, the paper crafting is not where it's at. Like, people say, oh, that's awesome. Oh, I want to buy a greeting card. They don't. They don't want to pay for it. It's too much. It's not scalable enough. So I don't do the paper anymore, right? I have all the material to do it for myself personally, and I could do it personally. I don't have the hours in the day to do it, but I do have the ability to do it. So I only do the sewing at the shows, and I have been so much more successful. The jar openers are such a random thing. So I was doing shows at the Dulles Expo, which, oh my God, I did the expo shows way earlier than I should have, but it was kind of a good thing, tearing off the Band-Aid like that and just like diving in the deep end. It was really scary. It was such a big risk. I did horrible the first time that I was there, but I learned so much, and I kind of just ripped that Band-Aid off and learned from that. And so I was getting ready for the shows, and my mom was like, hey, you should do this project with your brother. My brother is 13 years younger than me. So he was like maybe 10 at the time or something like that. And he would like spend time with me and sew with me and do stuff like that. And so he knows how to sew. He doesn't enjoy it, but he knows how to sew, which is great because it's a life skill. Everyone should know how to do it. You don't have to enjoy it, but you need to know how to do it. And I was like, Mom, this is a lot more complicated than it looks like. And she was like, oh, okay, well, never mind then. And I was like, let me make a couple of them. So I made like, I don't know, 20 of them or something. And I had them in this bowl. I had like this like round bowl with this like Santa or snowman or something like that. The Dulles shows happen in the wintertime. And I sold every single one of them. Dulles is 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Friday night, I go home. I stay up all night making more jar openers. Saturday, I am so freaking tired. I sell all of them. Saturday night, I go home. I make as many jar openers as I can. Sunday, I sell all of them. I sold out every single day. Granted, I only had like 20 or 30 of them. I was still so new at it, and I was not very efficient. I didn't know how to do a great job. I didn't have a walking foot. The walking foot is the deal breaker with these. Like, if you don't have a walking foot, that's what makes it look like a amateur person do it versus like a professional person did it, and like how difficult it is. The walking foot is essential. And I sold every single one. And I was like, this is interesting. And the thing is that it's such a cool product that people are not seeing, right? Like when you go to the craft shows, you see the jewelry, you see the candles, you see the what is it called? The placemats and the garbage bag dispensers, things like that. Like, it's the same things over and over again. Whatever state you go to, whatever craft show you go to. The jar openers, I have had barely any competition at any show that I've gone to. And most people have just the jar opener that they got for free from Bob's Automotive and is like a marketing thing, right? Most people do not have a pretty jar opener or it's 30 years old, right? So, and I priced them at $6 each, which is a great price point. People will buy them as stocking stuffers. People will buy them for their parents. Like, people will buy multiple because I do $6 each or 3 for $16. So most people buy 3 of them. And I did not expect them to be so popular. I have done well with jar openers at every single show that I've had them at since that first show. And like I said, it was just such a random thing. So after that success and seeing, I can do this. I could do this with the jar openers. That's why I said no to the fabric or the paper anymore. Changed my name to So Sustainable. And I was like, I am going to have all fabric stuff. So then 2022, I start doing all fabric. I am right off the bat so much more successful. My name, my booth, my products, everything, customers, vendors, everyone is kinder to me. Everyone is more complimenting. On paper, like selling so much better. So it was a great change for me. And, but there was still learning to be had. So the other like learning curve was to not have so many products. Not the amount of products on the table, like the quantity, right? But the different types. So if I have 40 different fabric items and I only have 3 of each, right? And they are fantastic quality. They are perfect, every single item. If the person next to me has 5 fabric products, right? But they have 40 of each one and they're mediocre, they are going to do better because of the fact that when you go to these craft shows, especially at places like the Expo Center, the customers are so overwhelmed. There is so much going on. They need to be able to look at your booth and know what you have and be interested or not. They also want to be able to like rifle through what you have available and pick the pattern that they want. So I had to limit down the amount of products that I had because I had so many different stuff, so many different items, right? I had the scrunchies and the key fobs and the totes, and I had napkins and placemats and coasters and so much stuff, right? Now I only take, like 5 different products to the shows. So I have the jar openers and the towels, which are my most popular, and then the tissue pouches and the coasters. I do take coasters. I barely ever sell coasters. The reason I will take them to every single show I ever go to is because it is inevitable that people will walk by my booth and see all of my jar openers laid out, and they'll be like to their friend, "Hey, Susie, look at all those coasters." And I'll be like, "Actually, Susie, they're jar openers. They are not coasters. Coasters are right over here." So I do not sell many coasters at all, but I will have them at every single show I ever go to because of the fact that people will talk to the people with them and be like, "Oh, that's a coaster." And I'll be like, "No, it's not." So that is why I have the coasters. But people like being able to find the pattern that they want. So anyways, that is my long ramble of how I changed names, where I started. I also started doing more of my videos, right? And my videos were better once I had a more centralized theme. My other really popular videos, I did not count right because there are 2 extra in this pile. My other really popular videos are the when I go to a show and I share exactly what happened. Was there an issue with the coordinator? Was there an issue with safety? Was there an issue with cleanliness? How much did I sell? How much did it cost? My big thing is that I don't understand why there's so much secrecy in the crafting realm and so much lying and like deceit. It makes no sense. Like, let's all help each other do better, right? We're all here to enjoy our hobby and to make a little money, right? So I think that people really like how I am honest and I just share what happens, right? So anyways, that's just me rambling on. We are about to hit an hour mark. Thank you so much for everyone who came along while we did this. So I just finished, this took longer to do this stack. It took me 30 minutes. But I need to pull out the sewing machine now, and that's annoying on video, and I'm gonna go listen to my book. If you don't know, I am really into all the books that I'm reading, so I read on physical books and Kindle books and audiobooks. Do a lot of audiobooks because of sewing and trying to get all my steps in and working from home. When I work from home, I'm not like on conference calls and stuff, so it's not like I have to talk to people. So I'm just quietly, you know, so I can get through a book a day because I listen faster than one. Listen like 1.5, 2. So anyways, so I'm gonna go listen to my audiobook. My goal for this year is to read 225 books. So I have to do about 19 a month. Last month I was down by 1 book, which was really frustrating. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna get these guys sewn up, hopefully finish bags A and B part 1 of both of them. So we'll be 1 day ahead, and then tomorrow we could do, again, more than what is necessary to get ahead. So that's the goal. Anyways, thank you so much for coming along. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.